everybody, welcome back to this week's episode of Mint Out of the Box. I'm your host, the godfather of toys, the J-Bomb, bringing you what I hope is one of the most entertaining unboxing action figure shows here on YouTube. And I use my 40 plus years of hands-on action figure collecting to break down, bring a little bit of history, and pretty much just have a good time with toys. As you can see right here, this is something I've complained about. I've pissed, bitched, and moaned, as my mom used to say, about, because over about almost a year ago, I shelled out $300 for these figures here. These are the Super 7 Ultimates from the movie 2001: A Space Odyssey. A little bit of history, because I promised history in my opening. 1968 Stanley Kubrick film about space travel, interplanetary activity, a giant acid trip. I mean, it's one of those movies that leaves it open to interpretation. It's a classic Stanley Kubrick film. As you know, Stanley Kubrick, director of Eyes Wide Shut, another movie that kept you thinking. The Shining, another movie that kept you thinking. Very different movies. 2001's different from all of them, but it's a great space epic. Long movie. A lot of people were boring, but me being a big sci-fi buff when I was a child in the 70s, early 80s, it kept me always wanting, man, I want some of these figures. And now, as a young 48-year-old, I finally get my chance. Super 7, as you know, is kind of like Funko. They seem to get a lot of licenses, and they kind of jumped on the scene remaking 3 3/4 inch figures, kind of getting licenses and making figures in that classic 80s style from a lot of properties that we never got figures for. Alien, Back to the Future, some of the horror stuff. Then they start expanding Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, sports, baseball figures, all kinds of stuff. Well, now they offer these Ultimates, and the thing about these Ultimates is they're custom made. So, like, you order them, they make them for you. And it was pricey. So, like I said, this set here was $300. So,
I don't ever want to hear any ish about spending money.
and when you hear that kind of commentary, it can only come from one, the loveliest producer of an action figure show here on YouTube, the lovely, the nurse, the mother, the one, the only, Producer Steph. Producer Steph, how are you doing this afternoon?
Oh, I'm good now.
Good now.
I just got the license to go to Target.
And as you know, if there's a Target being built in your hometown, you can thank Mint Out of the Box, because Producer Steph isn't, when she's there buying action figures for me, those aren't the only things in the shelf, in the cart. And trust me, she was a patron of Target well before she became anything attached to the godfather of toys. So, you remember, I think we were at the gym actually when I finally pulled the trigger and ordered these figures. Do you remember that day? It was
I do, because it was in the middle of LA Fitness.
And it was right before Christmas in December. I bought them, and I actually was complaining to the people on Super 7 when they're posting crap about like gay awareness and stuff, and that they support gay rights and all this. I was like, all right, cool. I'm glad you don't hate gays. I don't either. Can we make my fucking figures, please? I know language, but they actually responded and said, hey, they're on their way. So I finally got them last Sunday. I came home from work, boxes just sitting there. I was sitting in bed thinking, wow, I remember the days when the Postal Service didn't run on Sundays. And Producer Steph walked in and said, you got some stuff? One of them, I knew what it was. I opened it up, and she goes, you're never going to believe what these are.
They were totally off. I forgot about them like months ago.
I never even got an email saying that they were coming.
No. I saw the tag on it, saw the
All right,
Super 7. That is not your opener.
Spoiler alert, I only ordered one opener. I ordered my favorite character from the movie, Dr. Bowman. And I opened it up and took, because these are pretty elaborate. I didn't open up the cardboard boxes because they're wrapped in plastic. They have I think I took it off here already. Or did you put it back on?
No, I don't think I put it back on.
It has a plastic bag. Then it has this box. And then it had like a red ribbon banner around it. You slide off, kind of like a cigar box. That had the 2001 logo and everything on it. So here you go. You open it up, and bam. When it's opened up, it kind of looks just like a lot of the other any other figure you kind of get. Got the window. You got
Are
the
those
accessories.
extra hands?
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Extra hands. Then you see a different helmet because there was a scene in the movie where he was locked out of a pod, and he had to get back in, and he just grabbed whatever helmet was available, and it was a green. One of the Dr. Poole comes in I believe a yellow suit. Dr. Floyd comes in a gray suit, silver suit, and he comes in an orange. I also thought the orange was a cool thing. Comes with a drawing here because he was an artist in the movie, and he drew pictures of the doctors that were in suspended animation as they were going to Jupiter. Here we have a little small command module of HAL 9000, the computer that goes crazy and tries to kill everybody. And then we have another head because don't want to spoil the movie, even though it's 50 years old.
Little head never hurt.
You heard it here first, folks. Later in the movie, Dr. Bowman goes through this weird, what people describe as an acid trip, what it looks like on screen, and he ages, and there's a scene of him as an old man, and at the end, the famous classic scene where he's an embryo again, which I call a Star Child. So I'm gonna open this up, and I know makes me feel like I'm a baller because I'm able to open this $50 figure. Oh yeah, see, here's it. This is kind of the acid trip that he goes on at the end of the movie. So I like that they don't wire these in. I guess since they're made for just me, they don't think I'm gonna be stealing these at a Target or something. Pop out the little head. And for the record, of course, there was one company. I mean, there was a company in Japan that made some figures of these, not specifically of the astronauts, but just astronauts in this kind of suit. And they're real expensive, so I never bought them. But there was the one company that actually made a 2001: A Space Odyssey figure first. Funko Pop, of course. And I actually got one of those. But I take a look. I pulled a pic, and this is the first Ultimates figure I've gotten from Super 7. So this is first. You always never forget your first, right, producer staff?
Nope. Yep. Right, Jeremy?
So as I'm taking off everything, the first thing I notice is the face is not a great rendering of the actor Keir Delay. And I'm not reading this. This is just stuff I know. So that's why I'm so good at Jeopardy, because I remember this kind of crap. But then again, I saw this movie many times. You have to attach the little hose to take his helmet off. It breaks into two spots, so in case you want to put on the green helmet for a little change of pace. And then you have to plug the little hose back in. Cool figure. $50. I don't know. Maybe because it's custom made, maybe, you know, since it's not a I mean, if I go to Target tomorrow and see them, I'll probably be, you know, for $30, I might be a little pissed off. But if it's going to be one of those things where the window's closed and whoever bought them, and they're $50, that makes these super highly collectible because there's not a lot of them out there. And for $50 a figure, I'll deal with that. If this was a general release figure, I will not. I hope I'm not hurting Super 7's feelings, saying I'd be a little disappointed. But I mean, the only thing I think just the head, they could have done a little better on the head sculpt. The rest of the figure is pretty cool. The suit looks good. The accessories look good. Everything else looks good. You know, head sculpt of a 50-year-old guy. I mean, I guess, you know, I can forgive that. But I mean, like I said, it was a pricey set. But but when you've waited, you know, your whole life for a line of figures from this film, well, they say beggars can't be choosers, right? Producer Steph?
Yeah. But was it worth the wait?
Well, it's one of those things. How do you put a price tag or a wait list on something you thought you'd never get? So if you're going by that, I guess, you know, shelling up. But like I said, it's $300, $50 a figure because it's an exclusive figure. They didn't mass produce these, which is cool because, like I said, I'd like to know the numbers on how many were actually produced.
That's what I'm looking at right now. They're not easy to find on their website.
No, they weren't, because after December, that's why we bought them really at that last minute at the gym, because once the window closed, you couldn't get them made again. So if they never make these again, like I said, it's really worth the investment. But like I said, head sculpt aside, it's a pretty cool figure. I would have liked to open up the whole set, but I'm looking at almost $600, and I got a family of 6, so
+1.
Plus the grandbaby. So, but like I said, I've complained about the price point for Super 7 figures, for their smaller figures. 17, $18, like for the G.I. Joe ones they make. I really like how they look because it reminds me of the cartoon version of the G.I. Joe figures. But like I said, $17 for the small figure, or $20 for a G.I. Joe classified. I mean, what are you gonna go do? But like I said, I got a couple of Halloween. I got some of the baseball ones. So I will pay it if I think it's worth it. But some of the stuff I just don't.
And I don't even see them on the website anymore. That whole link is down.
They were hard to find on that website when I was trying to get any kind of update for them. But like I said, overall, do I think it's worth the money? Since it's custom made, since it's a property I thought I'd never get an action figure of, and they are cheaper than the generic space figures they made to look like this from Japan. So I would overall give it a thumbs up. If you missed out, I'm sorry. But good job, Super 7. Thank you for getting them to me. I will say, overall, with the packaging,
Packaging was cool.
I think the packaging is probably one of the best packaging schemes I've ever seen for a series. Like producer Steph just pointed out the WWE's No Holds Barred set that looked like a 80s VHS tape. That's a cool thing, but that's a one and done. It's very reminiscent of, the movie, of the advertising. I actually have this movie poster out on the other side of the office here, rolled up. I was going to put it up, but when I decided we were going to move eventually, I decided not to do it. So like I said, I'll have producer Steph take a couple pictures, and hopefully she'll inlay this inside the pictures inside the show. Hope you enjoyed this week's episode. Things are still hitting out there, so happy hunting. Fall time is among us. Halloween's right around the corner, and then that goes right into the holidays, and I'm sure after we have the second annual Mint Out of the Box Halloween Spooktacular, It's going to be full on head steam through the holidays. All the shopping that's going to go on, all the stuff that's going to be released.
Well,
Man.
they're busy shopping, and I don't want to hear nothing about it.
And you never will. So on that note, this is the Godfather Toys, the J-Bomb, for producer Steph. Hope you all have a fantastic week. Thanks a lot, Super 7, and I will see you next time.